Welcome back to the Corporate Cowboys podcast. My name is Alex, as always, your host for the next 30 minutes. This podcast is meant for professional development. That's for any aspiring professional, young and old. Now, this serves as a form of consulting, I suppose. I'll give you the legal disclaimer up front. None of what you hear, none of what is shared, none of what we post should be construed as legal advice to you, okay? You can't say, yo, Alex said, to peel them out, so I peeled them out. Gangster rap did not make you do it. Any choices you make, just know that Corporate Cowboys do not promote nor condone any wrongful activities, any illicit wrongdoings. That being said, this serves as a platform to help me develop skills to be more socially adept, to be a better speaker, to be a better networker, right? So I'm able to think out loud, organize my thoughts, give you a little peek behind the scenes on how it is that I approach individual cases. Now, keep in mind that the cases that we pull from off and online, come with very limited information, okay? So sometimes we have to make calculated estimates and whatever reasonable inferences are allowed without any more contextualized information. You see, if we had these hypothetical clients in front of us, then we could ask them questions, we could interview them, get a little bit more background, dig deeper on their situation, on their factual circumstances, right? In order to give them a more informed, a better informed approach, a strategic approach that's logically and tactfully sound as they make moves in corporate, as you all should be doing. You're born into this shit, by the way. If you can hear my voice, you are born into this shit. You're already in the system. You're already in the matrix. Whether or not you've been boosted, whether or not you're either inside or outside, but you're interacting with it in real time. The sooner you learn that we're part of a corporate war, and that's something that you can't just leave aside, right? There is no leaving the system. There is no leaving the network. What are you going to leave in? A car or a truck? Are you going to build your own wagon, breed your own livestock to be able to live off of the land? Nah, man. Nah, you're already tied and connected. So I think the best course of action is for you to get the ground beneath your feet, get the wind at your back, and ball up. You gotta fucking ball up. That's it. You have to ball up and just make moves. Make moves, make them smart, do so intelligently. You have to arm yourself with knowledge or something similar, something equivalent. Knowledge is power, right? So, start acquiring and accumulating that power. And as you make moves, you will grow smarter and smarter on how you use what you know, that being your knowledge and know-how, okay? So enough of the introductions. You want to follow us on Instagram? Do that. You want to follow us on Patreon? Do that. We're on Rumble as well. Shoot us donations. Write to us and send us questionable items. That's P.O. Box 3372, Rancho Cordova, California, 95741. And that's checked every so often and forwarded where it needs to go. All right, so today's question is coming from r/career guidance. And the question is, should I tell potential employers how much I currently make? Should I tell professional employers how much I currently make? So a potential employer is going to be, one you're not working for at the moment, right? Maybe you're applying. Maybe you've just started the application process. You're interviewing for some of these positions, perhaps. You're trying to see if you're eligible, if you qualify as a suitable candidate to work for them. And you want to be sure that when it comes time to negotiate your compensation, to negotiate what you will be getting paid, that it's in your favor. It's in your favor, relatively commensurate, relatively equivalent to the services that you're providing, the professional services that you're providing. You want to go into these interactions, these exchanges of value as professional as possible. It's the only way that you, as an individual listening to me, I mean, I don't know if you're AI scraping this conversation between you and I, and it's only one way if you're listening. So, evaluate that. But when you enter these conversations with a potential employer, you want to be as professional as possible. It's the only way that you, as an individual, will rise to the level of a corporation. You have to be informed. You have to be competent. You have to be capable. You have to appear professional first in order to be professional in your interaction. All right? So, that said, if you don't have a legal representative who's doing the negotiation for you, and that's real uncommon. That's real uncommon, though I want to make it more common, right? I would like to commoditize it. And that's the goal behind Corporate Cowboys, is that we got together and we're thinking the best way to fix corporate, the best way to incorporate better business practices is by informing and educating and self-helping to have these business practices, ones that will create better business on the back end and will result in better business overall, is through informing and educating the modern day professional on how to conduct themselves, right? So you're interviewing and they ask you, hey Alex, so tell us, what were you making in your previous position? Or what are you making currently? Or they ask for a range. I think when they ask you for a range, the ball is more so in your court, because you can put a price on your services. You can put a price on what it is that you do professionally, what it is that you will be contributing, what it is that you will be bringing to the table, to the conference table, right? In terms of value, the value that you will add to the team that you are interviewing for. Now, what would a corporate cowboy do? In general, I would withhold that information. I don't think that negotiating on past prices is a healthy thing to do. I mean, even working in the streets, coming from the street, today's price is not yesterday's price. And tomorrow's price will not be today's price, right? So you learn how to hustle, you know how to hustle and put a price tag on your worth, on your value, on your services. And you have to know that the price will fluctuate from client to client, customer to customer. And that's true even in the line of work that we're engaged in, okay? Sometimes some cases, some clients, some accounts will require more due diligence or a deeper mode of dealing, a deeper mode of due diligence, more legwork, more background investigating before a suitable strategy can be put together for the client. One that they may or may not even end up acting on, right? That they may not end up executing. They may not even execute, right? Because they may weigh their personal versus professional interests. And if they don't align sufficiently, well, I mean, it's going to be their professional image that suffers, but they might have grown complacent at some point. And again, I don't mean to bag on some of the potential clients that are listening, but you have to have that dog in you. You have to dog yourself sometimes personally in order to get what you want professionally, because what you do professionally opens up most every door to what you end up doing personally, to who you are personally. And that's where the professional development bleeds into your personal achievements, into your personal successes. All right. That being said, don't negotiate from a place of weakness. I think there may be times where I think if you are capable enough, if you are adept, quick on your feet, and can think critically in real time, can do this shit live, can do it moving, like they say in the Bay. If you can do it moving, yes, bringing up a past or a dated figure may help you set up a floor, right? If you know how to hustle it. Otherwise, you can find yourself setting up your own ceiling and your potential employer using it against you. Now, we never want that to be the case. We never want that to be the case. Why? I mean, you want to continue building. You want to continue growing. You want to develop yourself further, expand on what it is that you do, expand on what it is that you know. And one of the only ways to do that is to negotiate for more responsibility, for more access to resources, for more duties, right? In order to ask for that compensation, the compensation to be equivalent to what it is that you'll be doing for the company. That being said, bringing up your past salary or what you make currently requires that you know in depth, intimately, what it is that you do with your current company. Not just on paper, but what you do also off the record, right? And I don't mean dirt. Not everything revolves around dirt. Yeah, I get we deal with big iron and all, but not everything has to do with corporate dirt. What you do on paper, that is your job description, versus what you do in reality, what is in practice, the practical knowledge that you have applied and you know how to apply. That combined is what will serve as a platform for you to negotiate on. That's where your compensation is built. That's what you want to be negotiating with. It's one big bargaining chip. I want to say it's the only bargaining chip. I think if you ever go into a negotiation, if there's more than one bargaining chip, the interaction is corrupt. I think truly, when you get into business and you have more than one bargaining chip, I think it becomes non-mutually beneficial, right? If you have more than one bargaining chip, it's because somebody's playing dirty. It's because somebody wants to one-up somebody else. That's really the end game for a lot of individuals. But if you come to a business transaction, if you come to a transaction fully informed and transparent and willing to do business in a manner that benefits all parties, there shouldn't be more than one bargaining chip, truly. And I mean a bargaining chip. I don't mean terms. When there are terms to negotiate, that's fine. You can negotiate any and all terms. But when you have bargaining chips that you mean to leverage, I think when you have more than one point of leverage on either side is when, shit gets dirty. There's that disconnect between morals and ethics. and shit gets dicey, shit gets hairy. I've been ranting on this title for a minute, but it's fine. Hey, it's fine. I'm putting it out there. I'm organizing my own thoughts as I go along, and it serves to help me build my own repertoire in my mind on how I would approach a situation. So my associates and I are are satisfied with just going back and forth and in depth to what we think is reasonable and necessary. So, should I tell potential employers how much I currently make? How long I got? 15 minutes? I mean, I've burned a fuck ton of time, but we're already halfway through. It's okay. The body's not too big. Let's just give it a quick read through, and I'll interject if it gets interesting. They write, I had a quick phone interview with a company that was offering to pay a substantially higher amount than what my current employer is paying. I am talking about a life-changing amount. Okay, well, I mean, first, be sure that it's not a scam and that when they send you, the I-9, that they don't steal your identity, right? If it's been a phone interview, if there's been nothing in person, nothing face-to-face, even if it is virtual, right? If there's been no personal interaction, if it's all been distant, if it's all been not in real time, if it's only been interviews via email, if it's like written emails and phone calls, it might be sus, right? So keep your radar up for that. Am I saying a lot? I just caught myself then. And if it's taken this long, Alex, you're fucking lacking. Eventually, they write, the recruiter asked me, it's through a recruiter. Okay, I mean, they asked me how much I make at my current job. And I told her. That's when she verbally confirmed the salary that was listed on the job posting and said, so that's a bit more responsibility. Okay. I didn't think that much of it at the time. They continue. This is the next paragraph. I didn't think much of it at the time. The tone of conversation didn't shift after that. And soon we ended the call on a good note. After reaching out a few days later, I learned I didn't get the job, which, fine, I can imagine a number of reasons why. But that comment about responsibility keeps sticking out to me. And I addressed this in the opening monologue I did, fucking ranting on the title. They say, but that comment about responsibility keeps sticking out to me. Is there a chance that knowing how little I currently make influenced their decision? And even if it hadn't, should I politely decline to discuss my current salary to potential employers anyway? It depends how much. Now, you see, I just dive right into it. Because you went through a recruiting agency, it really depends how much the recruiter is going to bat for you, is advocating for you, is representing you in these transactions, because it is a negotiation, right? The recruiter wants to make something on the back end or off the top, if you will. They want to make something off the top, the salary that you will be getting. And it's not unheard of that, the recruiter treats their clients like athletes, let's say. Treats their clients like athletes. And the recruiter becomes an agent of sorts. I mean, they are your agent if they're negotiating salary and job descriptions and duties on your behalf, right? But if you don't know how to interact with recruiters and the recruiter's doing all of the pushing and pulling on your part, and you're just, hey, I'm Alex, I just showed up, let me sign the dotted line and whatever happens, happens sort of thing. If you're real passive about the process, you could end up fucking yourself. Why? Because you're not, you don't have an active hand in shaping the relationship between you and your potential employer. It's not a bad thing. It doesn't have to be a bad thing, right? If you're a busy bee, you're working 60, maybe 80 hours a week, right? That's extreme. But you're working an extreme and overwhelming number of hours a week and don't have time to be applying and vying and being a candidate and interviewing for all these positions, then having a recruiter is like a fast track to that. It streamlines the process to an extent, right? To a certain point. that being said, the recruiter wants, if they're competent, they're much like I guess like a lawyer in that sense. They're your representative. They're going to be the face for obviously their recruiting company, but then also for you too. They represent you and the quality of work that they will deliver through you, right? So you're submitting yourself to their personal knowledge, to their professional knowledge, and expertise on market trends, on labor trends, on metrics and patterns in order to get you a good deal salary-wise, and in order to ensure the company gets a good deal labor, skill, and expertise-wise, right? So it's got to be a good fit. It has to mesh one another. Really, the recruiter is like that cog, is that wheel of cogs between you and the company, making this transaction happen. Otherwise, it would just be your wheel and the company's wheel meshing together and grinding together. We're moving together, not grinding, but moving together. Instead, you got a middleman, which is a recruiter. Again, not a bad thing, but if the recruiter, you see, this is where you get a little wrinkle. It's not bad, but it depends on your relationship with your recruiter, with your representative. If your relationship with them has been distant, has been cold, if you're not warm, if you're not professional, sociable, likable, amicable with them, if you're not on good terms, they'll just treat you like any other client case file number. You just become one in a vast sea of hungry mouths that want a high salary job with like a low amount of responsibilities, right? So if they've interviewed you, if their profile with you, or your profile with them, if it's missing some information, it behooves them. It's incumbent on them to provide excellent service, not only to you as a client, but to the company as a client, that they have all of this relevant information. How transparent or how honest you want to be, well, there's wiggle room there too. But the recruiter has that discretion to take you out of the running for a job they don't think you qualify for, or for a job they don't think you will be a positive force on, something that you will be productive on, right? So if you don't have those qualities of wanting to advance, of wanting more responsibility, right? If your profile doesn't have those boxes checked, doesn't have those boxes ticked, then when this high-paying, more responsibility-having ass job comes their way, they're not going to think of Alex, because Alex makes this amount of money and my hand is low, right? And Alex has this amount of responsibilities on paper and my hand, again, is low. And the job has a salary that is this amount and my hand is higher. But the responsibilities are also this high. You see, now, the difference, that gap between the two of who Alex is on paper for this recruiter and what the job is on paper for this recruiter, the recruiter wants their job to be wants the process to be as easy as possible. They want like a one-to-one match, like a one-to-one, like equivalent comparison, that Alex is making this range, so it won't be a change in their way of life. And Alex is already familiar with these particular responsibilities or duties, so it won't be much of a change either. It'll be a seamless transition, seamless change in the scope of work. There won't be any change really in the scope of work. And if anything, and maybe not even much of a change in terms of salary. Now, if they can swing it for you, that you get more money for the same amount of work, well then, you've got a good agent. You've got a good recruiter there. Treat them nicely. Send them a bottle of champs, right? Otherwise, it's and this is why negotiating or learning to negotiate for yourself, being an independent professional, is why it counts, is where it really counts. So that disparity between what it is you say you do on paper and that reality, between that is what it is you do in practical application, that can be negotiated. That can be the basis for making more money, for getting a higher position, higher title, a better title in another company. So, in short, in conclusion, I mean, is this our conclusion already? Half an hour just came and went. That's how much fun I'm having. Now, in conclusion, I think being a professional means being a professional in most, I'm going to say every aspect of your life, right? How you treat others, especially how you treat those that are representing you, that are going to be your representatives out there in the real world. You see, you want to know that you're not selling yourself short. So you want to tell your recruiters what it is that you do at the company, what it is that you're assigned to do, what it is that you actually do, what it is that you're familiar with, your knowledge base, your know-how, and your aspirations, what you're doing actively to improve and develop on yourself, right? You want to humanize your client file in the recruiter's eyes. So when they do see that higher paying job with or without more responsibilities, they think of Alex. I've seen Alex's report. Alex checks in. Alex wants to move up. Alex is a go-getter. He's a live motherfucker, and he wants to do it moving, right? They think of me. And they put my file across the potential employer's desk, and they may not even consider what I made in the past, right? If your recruiter, if I tell my recruiter, if I was transparent, but even to the recruiter, I might round up, right? But even if you are transparent to the recruiter and you're both in alignment with where you want your professional trajectory to be heading, right? Then your recruiter will be able to negotiate for you that higher salary because they know and they believe, they're confident, they trust that Alex, the professional, will deliver on that promise, on that contract. You see, that's really the end game for all corporate Cowboys. That's the end game for all corporate Cowboys, is to reach that state of being a consummate professional. That's the absolute, the total professional, inside and out, right? With very little compromise, if any. Why? Because the transaction will be mutually. That means two ways, or that means always. I like that. Always beneficial to all parties. All right. So again, don't sell yourself short. Be sure that those that you associate with are in it for the better, for the better good, for the for the greater, not the greater good, but for the betterment of business. They include some edits here. First edit, it says, I appreciate every single comment. Each one has gotten an upvote and yes, I hadn't had to look for a job in nearly 10 years. So a lot of strategies and what should admittedly be common sense are still new to me. Okay, well, it says a common theme in the comments is the discussion of pay history. These types of questions are not banned in Texas. Yeah, I suppose you also want to be sure that you're not breaking any laws, but you don't want to go in assuming either, right? If the recruiter asks you how much you made in the past, you don't want to be breaking any laws. You don't want to be breaking any laws just because they asked you and you trust them. Nah, like you want to be sure that if this if this business experiment is going to be double blind, you don't want to give anybody the upper hand, right? You want the chips to fall as fairly as possible, as equitably as possible. But, that requires you knowing what the fuck you are doing and negotiating just the same, okay? So again, don't sell yourself short, but also don't overestimate yourself. You don't want to look like a fucking dick, like an asshole. But if everybody is competent all around, then come the interview stage, they'll be able to weed you out if you're not. And I do mean in a respectful way. They'll be able to weed you out if you're not a good fit, right? And if you are a good fit, then obvious they'll keep you and they'll be taking care of you. You take care of business, and business will take care of you. It's been an overarching theme of the podcast. So they write here, it says, a common theme in the comments is the discussion of pay. These types of questions are not banned in Texas, which I am not that surprised to learn. Okay, and then it says, it ends with, you've all given me more confidence going forward, so I appreciate the feedback, right? And that's, I guess, the nice thing about the internet. But also the not so nice thing about the internet is that you can get a variety of answers, but to get a tailored, a detailed, informed answer, one that you can act on. I mean, you may need to consult one-to-one with someone who's in the business of business, with someone who's got consulting experience, someone who's able to think outside of the box for you, someone who, if you don't have a circle of buddies or a circle of friends that you can speak to them and discuss career opportunities with, I mean, you can treat us as that circle that you're missing, right? So again, find us on Instagram. That's at Corporate Cowboys with the Z. The Corporate Cowboys podcast on Patreon. On Rumble, that's Corporate Cowboys podcast. And there's a couple donation links. There's a Venmo, PayPal, all that good stuff. I'm going to just trail off and wish you a great week. Oh, proof of life is Monday. Monday, August 7, 2023. Take care of yourselves.